welcome to the Twiz County Board of Education meeting. Thank you to all our in-person folks here today, and also our online community and stakeholders for joining us this evening. It is my pleasure to call the Twiz County Board of Education meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and the time is 6:06. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024.
I move that motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, the motion to approve the agenda has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear, and second by Ms. King. Is there any discussion? Okay, the question is on the adoption of the motion to approve today's agenda. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. You all have a copy of the minutes from June the 25th, both the call meeting with the second budget hearing as well as the work session. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Yes, I have one
Okay.
correction. On the call to order, in reference to the minutes for the actual board meeting, it was stated Shirley Stokes was absent. She was present at that time.
Okay.
So that need to be deleted.
All right, want to make that correction? Okay, are there any other corrections? Okay, then if there are no other corrections, then the minutes are approved with the necessary corrections. Ms. Blackshear, the ethics statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In accordance with regulations set forth by the Georgia Ethics Commission, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflict of interest and interest of such conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, we'll proceed with our agenda.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Do any of the board members have any comments or remarks at this time? If not, Dr. Bullock?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, and all of our stakeholders with us in person and those joining us virtually. We are excited that a new school year officially started today with our new staff orientation.
All right.
We had a room full of new staff members from the operations department, sitting all up in the front. And over to my right, kind of in the middle, was the middle high school, and kind of back on this side, and to my right over here was the JES. And wow, they were engaged, they were excited, they were participating and soaking every word up like a sponge. I did introduce the board members to them today virtually, but if you want to meet them face to face, we do have new staff orientation again tomorrow, start at 8:30. They'll eat breakfast at 8:30 and they end about 3:30. 12 tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow they'll have lunch and then They'll go to their buildings and work, and then they'll come back over here Thursday morning at 8:30, and they'll be here all day until like 3:30. They'll have lunch around 12. So if you all want to pop in, they'd love to meet you face to face, but trust, I have introduced you already.
Thank you, Dr.
We do have a few announcements I want to make sure the community is aware of. Our open house is close upon us. It will be on Saturday, August the 3rd at all of the schools. And open house for parents will start at 10 a.m. and it will end at 1 p.m. So our employees will be there before that, just preparing to welcome them. But parents can start going and touring the schools, meeting teachers, getting to meet the administration, etc., starting at 10 a.m. on that Saturday morning. And we'll be here until after 1 p.m. on that day. The first day of school will be that following Monday. Buses will roll that following Monday, August the 5th. So we look forward to that very first day of school as well. And we do have one request of parents in reference to school supplies this year. Parents, we are asking to purchase their children a clear or mesh book bag for their child this year, but all other school supplies we'll be providing at the schoolhouse to get the students started. But we do ask parents to pick up a clear or a mesh book bag for your daughter or your son and make sure that they come prepared with that from the first day, and we will provide them with paper, pencils, and other things of that nature to get them started at school, at the schoolhouse this year. Those will conclude my superintendent comments for right now. Just want everyone to get ready to get started back in school, and we're excited about the beginning of the new year.
Good afternoon, Chair Karstafen, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Superintendent Dr. McBullard, all of our stakeholders listening virtually and in person. It truly brings me great pleasure to recognize one of our biggest supporters, one of our community supporters, is communities and schools. But our communities and schools, let me tell you a little bit about what communities and schools represent. Communities and schools surround students with a community of support, empowering students to stay in school and achieve in life. Communities and Schools of Georgia is the state's leading dropout prevention organization, where it served 41 school districts across 37 countries in schools and beyond the classroom to again ensure that every student, regardless of race, zip code, or socioeconomic background, has what they need to realize their potential. We are truly blessed to have communities and schools in our district. And we are even more blessed to have Ms. Jackie Curtis serve as our Executive Director of Communities and Schools. And so, Ms. Curtis, I want to just salute you and Communities and Schools today. Let's give her a round of applause. Communities and Schools. But before I can move any further, you see that beautiful picture of Ms. Curtis on the screen. But let me tell you how we have benefited as a Twiggs County Public School District. The Communities and Schools Partnership has afforded after-school programs for JES and the Twiggs County Middle High School. So that means that they fund the program. So we don't fund anything out of our general fund or any other budget. We've had our summer school programs at JES and the Twiggs County Middle High School. We've had our summer school camps, our enrichment activities, help purchase PBIS rewards, and the biggest is partnering with the Full Service Community Schools Grant, where we've been provided additional staff, and our principals love additional staff members by way of our Communities and Schools school site coordinators. Awesome, and they are awesome support. These are just to name a few. So Ms. Curtis, Ms. Jackie Curtis, if you will come forward, please. So, Ms. Jackie Curtis and the Communities and Schools organization, we want to present you with this token of our appreciation, and I mean that from the heart. Your contribution has made a meaningful difference in the lives of our students and teachers. Thank you for your kindness and continued support during the Twiggs County Schools 2024 Summer Opportunity Program. Your support through Communities and Schools and serving as the executive director shows how much you truly care about the education of our students in the Twiggs County Public Schools. Words can't express how much the Twiggs County Public School District values the CSI partnership. Sincerely, Dr. Mac Bullard. And so, Dr. Bullard, I'm going to give you the plaque so you can go over there. And if you will, Ms. Curtis, I want him to do the honors of presenting it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you again, Ms. Curtis.
Now, what did they tell you to get you here? That's. All right, this time we're going to move into our business agenda, and Dr. Bullard, you have some district requests.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, board members, we do have a fundraising request that we'd like your approval on tonight. It does support our vision and our mission for our athletic department. On Tuesday, the 3rd of September, they'd like to sell some barbecue plates. So if you're hungry that day, come and get you a barbecue plate. And the purpose of it is for them to purchase equipment and supplies for the fall sports, cheerleading, football, and softball. And that will be the athletic department, and their advisor is Mr. Howell. We'd like to get your approval for that fundraising event to happen on the 3rd of September.
3rd of September. All right, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the fundraiser request made by the superintendent for the athletic department. Can I get a motion?
I move that motion.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Ms. Blackshear,
I made the
and
motion.
second by? Okay, the motion to approve the fundraiser request has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear and second by Ms. Stokes.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Okay, the question is on adoption to approve the fundraiser request. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
What time?
On September 3rd. Okay.
And they'll go until you all out. You'll serve them until you sold out. So there'll be some tickets pre-sold, so you can bring your concessions, your ticket to the concession stand and pick up your.
When will the tickets go on sale? All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Bullard.
Yes, sir. Board members, as a part of the Georgia School Board Association protocol, we have been asked to begin to formally adopt our board norms and protocols as a part of our official record every year. You know that we have board retreats where we have trainers from Georgia School Board Association come every year and provide us with a very quality training in reference to the board protocols and ethics. And we want to do as we've been instructed, to make sure it's a part of our record every year, at the beginning of the year, adopting it on our board as a board action. We've already had our training for the year with Dr. Hinton, so you all are very familiar with our norms and with our protocols. But we ask at this time that you formally approve our board norms and protocols for the FY25 school year.
Okay, the motion is to approve, thank you, Dr. Bullard. The motion is to approve the board norms.
Yes.
Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the board norms and protocols effective for year 2025.
All right. Second? Okay, the motion to approve the board norms for 24-25 has been properly made by Ms. King and second by Ms. Stokes. The question is on the adoption to approve the board norms. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, board. All right, so let's see. Who's up next here? Ms. Reardon. Calendar action. Let's see.
Good evening, Board Chair Karstafen, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Dr. Bullard, and our stakeholders. Tonight I'm going to start with the 25-26 calendar. This is an action item. It aligns with our vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. It also aligns with our strategic plan goals: 1, learning and wellness for all; 2, excellence ahead, academics, facilities, and opportunities; and 3, doing things the Twiggs way. As a review of the process, because it's been quite a while since I stood before you with the information item, we discussed the calendars during senior cabinet. The asynchronous team gave input. We've met with the middle high school staff. We've met with the JES staff. And we sent out surveys to all staff members and reviewed the surveys and then input again with the senior cabinet. On your next page, the next slide as well, you see the calendar that we had started with that was presented to you back in January. Our needs that we needed to go back and consider were we were going to adjust the asynchronous days after the asynchronous team met, and then we needed to make a decision for the holiday during November, February, and post-planning. We also have to remember that for our calendar, we have to have 180 days for instruction. Our teaching staff is required for 190 days due to their contracts, and then our 12-month employees are on 226 days. We have to account for that within our calendars. Before you have, with the adjustments, what the calendar would look like if you approve the calendar tonight. The slide also reflects what it would look like if you approve the calendar tonight. With the asynchronous days, you see on here where the asynchronous days were put according to the input from the committee, and then you see that the one in March is removed from there according to the committee in order to provide for additional instructional time face-to-face. Are there any questions?
Questions? All right, this time I entertain a motion to approve the 2025-2026 calendar. Can I get a motion?
I move that motion to approve the calendar.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, the motion to approve the 25-26 calendar has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear and second by Ms. King. The question is on the adoption of the motion to approve the 25-26 calendar. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Yeah, you have some corrections to,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Thank you for the vote. Our next presentation is the 24-25 calendar. This is the calendar we're about to start. Again, it aligns with our vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally, and our strategic plan goals 1, 2, and 3. We just have some minor changes in the calendar, noting that the end of the first 4.5 weeks progress report period should be September 6th, not September 7th. So you see the change in the slides and what's in front of you for the presentation. And then in March, we had an asynchronous day written on the right-hand side, which was a placeholder. There was none within the calendar, and then the final vote from the committee was that we would not have that day for an asynchronous day. So those are the two changes in the calendar as we approach this school year. The calendar that you have in front of you is what the calendar would look like with these changes if you approve these two changes tonight. Are there any questions?
When you say vote from the committee, I know we did is that with all the teachers involved and everyone?
Yes, ma'am, that's with
the
there were teachers representing every school. And as they came together, they were also representing their schools, and they brought what the decisions were, and it was a lot of discussion as to what it should look like, what will the day look like, where should it fall on the calendar, what is the impact for students, what is the impact for parents, and this is what we had decided on the number of days as well, and that's why we had decided to remove the day in March. Because we have one in February, we have the one in April. There is less than 2 months between the two. There's only about 6 weeks between those two dates. Putting one in March would then be every 3 weeks we would have an asynchronous day. Coming into testing season, that was a lot. So we decided not to have that day in March. It was something that we needed to bring back to the table in the first place. That's why it wasn't actually on the calendar. It was just on the side for us to think about in the future, because the calendar was approved 2 years ago.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion to approve the changes or the corrections to the 24-25 calendar.
I move to approve the 2024-2025 calendar.
Okay. Get a second?
Second.
All right, the motion to approve the corrections to the 24-25 calendar has been properly made by Ms. King and seconded by Ms. Blackshear. The question is on the adoption to approve the corrections to the 24-25 school calendar. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Mr. Austin.
Good evening, Board Chair, Karstoffen, Vice Chair Rouse, Board members, Superintendent Dr. Bullard, constituents in person and virtually. I'm presenting information on a bus repair replacement for 15-1. It aligns with our vision of generate excellence, one team, one goal, our mission to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally, and it supports Strategic Plan Goal 2, excellence ahead, facilities, opportunities, and academics. So general information about the replacement, typical engine for a bus, the cost estimate that we received, $37,898.64. SPLOST, our current SPLOST and our approved SPLOST that will start collecting in 2025, both support bus repairs, so we'll use our current SPLOST to ensure that this is paid for if so approved. The engine is already in stock per our vendor. We made contact with Yancey to ensure, so that improves our timeline of ensuring this is completed. And we're looking at about 3 weeks from the ordering, receiving, and installing from the date of board approval, which will be tonight. The Transportation Department has assigned a spare bus to the fleet to ensure that we have a great opening of school, that students are properly transported, and that it will be in position into the duration of the project being completed. Yancey did make a note in the quote saying that upon teardown, there could be other issues found that need to be addressed. One of those issues that I talked with our mechanics today and said that we have to do some other work to the transmission. So things like that come up when they tear down things. So we are looking to have a contingency cost built into that. What I do not want to happen, it exceeds that $37,000, and I have to come back to the board for an additional approval. So we do have a contingency approval there as well, so we can cover those expenses. So that will put us to approve an amount up to $45,478.37. We do have opportunities in our fleet to improve with new buses. This is a 2015 bus. However, with the timing of the repair, our spare is just to get us through a rough patch, not to be a long-term solution. And the turnaround for ordering new buses is about 6 to 8 months. And we're still looking at about $40,000 to $50,000 more that we'll have to pay by purchase of a new bus. So we went with a route that would extend the life of this bus because all the other parts are still highly functioning, and we believe we can get some good life out of it still. So per the recommendation of transportation, this was our best option. Any questions?
So you're saying this bus will be replaced in about 6 months?
No, sir. So if we decided to purchase a new bus, then we would have been to have a 6 to 8 month turnaround, and then we still had to outfit the bus with cameras and radios and et cetera. Okay. The spare bus, we're not confident will last 6 months on the road through that time frame. So it's just a spare bus. That's why it's not in our regular fleet. So to get the bus back on the road and to extend the life of the bus for a couple more years, replacing the engine was the best option.
Any questions?
Yes. So yes, ma'am. One of those buses is earmarked for handicapped PEC students, and so that bus would not be adequate because it's not part of the route that we're trying to cover. The additional bus that we ordered is en route and is covering an additional route that's on our longer routes. So because of how our route planning is, we have put those newer buses on the routes that need to be on, and so that's why we use the spare bus, because we're still updating our fleet. We have at least 3 more buses we can purchase. So we're still actively doing that.
When you say spare bus, this is one that we already have that we're using to?
No, so we have it. It's sitting on the yard. We can use it, but it's not in our day-to-day operations. So that's something that we looked at as an option, but we're afraid that in 2 or 3 months, we may have to do some more serious repairs to that, or we may be on the side of the road. So to prevent that, we chose the best buses to put in our fleet. So
but it may, we're not really sure. We're just taking a chance on you saying it may last.
What, spare bus?
Yeah.
Well, it may, but I always take caution. I don't like to be hot sitting on the side of the road.
No.
And
We don't want our kids to be.
and I
hot.
don't want our kids to be. So the risk that I'm mitigating is I know for sure that doing this will keep them cool on the road and get home safely. So I just didn't want to put that much emphasis on. But we have a spare bus, and let's use that. You all get calls that the bus on the side of the road, that's a whole different conversation to have. So that's why we looked at this option to satisfy that request.
So we had problems with the spare bus that we're going to be using?
No, not necessarily problems. The spare bus, once it gets to a certain age and get to a certain point in its life cycle, we know that it's time to put it in our spare fleet, just like having sub drivers. Yeah. So once our main crew gets exhausted, we have something that can at least back it up until we get it back up and running. So it's operation management for us. We have contingency built in place. If we just had 8 buses that were functioning, one of those buses drop out, we stuck. But we always try to have 1 or 2 buses in the back room, if you will, that can help us in the event that some of our main buses go down. So more of a management plan than anything else.
What year is the spare bus?
Yes, sir. So that particular spare bus, I did not ask that question. I just know it was an operable spare bus. So I do not know the year offhand.
Spare bus could be newer model than 15.
Yeah. You know, I have a 2012 Toyota Camry that got 315,000 miles, the best car I have, and it works better than my 21 Kia Telluride. So when you talk about years, sometimes that's not always the best indicator, but we just look at it as a measure to say, hey, this bus is 15 years old. It can be a spare bus as an example. Not saying that it's better or worse. We just have to have a measuring stick. And that's one of the measuring sticks we have.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
The statement you made, the older you're looking at this bus, once you get so old, you retire, put them in the past. Yeah. So if this bus that you're talking about spare, you don't know what year it is. You newer than this one, or older, but you don't know. So 15, you're talking about got a bad engine. Spare don't have a bad engine.
No. It wouldn't have one if we put it on the road. No, sir.
So I don't understand that how it's 45,000 for possible crash.
Right.
You don't even go year model there. Be a little deeper. I like to go a little more out.
Sure.
That's trying to keep the kids from being inside the road high. I don't either. Just because, like you said, because they do it don't mean it's better.
That's correct.
We can definitely, board members, reach out and get the year of that spare bus prior for the end of the meeting, if you'd like to have that. That's no problem.
But I mean, the spare bus is about to be cycled out.
No, what we cycled out is everything that we surplus. So those 7 buses that we surplus, those are the ones we had to cycle out because we were scrapping parts. So anything that's a spare is operational. It is able to be on the road. It's on our insurance, and it's been serviced. So that's what we consider our spare, that it's went through all the inspections to be on the road. So we do know that's for a fact that we're confident in that. But again, going back to the operational management of it, if we put the spare in rotation, that's just one less bus we have to be a backup. And 2, again, it's a spare bus. So we're not trying to have it on the road that long. Not knowing personally the details of the state of the, the year and make and model does not necessarily mean the recommendation from the mechanic is not adequate to meet the need. That's just a question I didn't ask.
How many spare buses do you have?
At least 3.
How I mean, the spare buses that have had. What I'm asking is why the 15, why we pick 15?
Because the motor, it went out.
You got 3 more spare buses. Not bad. Why would you pick the motor?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be a spare? Put it out. $40,000.
If we put the 15 out, then it'll probably be out of operation and we'll have to surplus it. So that'll be a different scenario. The scenario that's most logical in this situation is that those spare buses supports our day-to-day operations. So if a bus goes out, we have buses that we can put in operation and keep it going. So can we use the spare bus? Absolutely. However, based on the management plan we have, that's just not what we've done historically. So that's why we're leaning toward their recommendation.
So this bus that you want to put the engine in,
It's on the road
it's
day to
the
day.
one, it's the bus that's been in regular operation.
Yes, sir.
Already.
Yes, sir.
Already. And then the engine went out.
Yes, sir.
Did it go out during the school year, or did it go out?
No, sir. It has 115,000 miles on the bus. So as we looked at our summer operations and preparing for the year, that's one of the things that we looked at based on the recommendation of what I need to bring forth and ensure we can open school with the right
Let's see, 20.
I have a question. What is the results of the selling of the surplus? Have we sold those, or
It hasn't happened yet. It happens on August the 10th.
August the 10th? Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? At this time, I entertain a motion to approve the repair of bus 15-1 at a cost of $37,000 plus $37,898.64. With a possible contingency cost of $45,478.37. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I thought we was going to table this until we get further information on the bus.
All right, well, can I
So
get a-
I would like to make a motion to
Okay.
table this until we get further information.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, the motion to table this discussion till we get more information is properly made by Ms. Blackshear and second by Ms. King. The question is on the motion to table the present, the purchase of this engine until we get more information.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, can the board get a printout of all of the funds that we're spending on the SPLOST that we have lined it up? All right.
Any other questions? All right, 10.
All right, so a protocol has been established for the presentations. I have this one, another. So, of course, the mission and vision supports and strategic plan goals will be all 5 as it relates to a financial instrument for the district. So in our process, per usual, we invite or send invitation to banks in order for them to provide us an estimate of what it would cost in order for them to issue us a TAN, a tax anticipation note. So did send out invitation for accounting. Like last year, they did not participate in the bid. They stated that they would need more time to offer an adequate bid. Bank of Dudley, at the same amount of time was provided, decided to offer a TAN for us for the 2024 calendar year. So the cash flow implications, the district has sufficient cash to operate normally for the month of July. The cash flow implication will happen during the months of August through October, during which the TAN will assist in resolving any cash flow shortages. The great thing about this is last year our cash flow started in July, so we are moving more toward the revenue stream of the organization, which is a good sign. So coming into post-pandemic era, it is good to see us moving back toward that normalcy. As always, the TAN will have to be paid back before December 31st, 2024. Historically, Twist County has never defaulted on the TAN loan since I've been here, and I don't think they have in the past either prior to me. The new millage rate has not been approved yet, so this does not have any impact on why we need a tax anticipation note of any amount at this time. The Twist County Board of Education is seeking it in the amount of $900,000, which is $45,000 less than last year, and we're asking the board to approve that TAN that will be fully executed. By fully executed, this means that all the legal paperwork, documents, resolutions have been signed and in place by the 31st, so that we can have the TAN in place for August through October operational needs. Any questions, comments that I can address at this time?
Any questions? All right, the motion is to approve the TAN. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve approval of the 2024 TAN.
All right, and second? Second. All right, the motion to approve the TAN amount for 2024 has been properly made by Ms. King and second by Mr. Rouse. The question is on the adoption to approve the motion to approve the TAN. All in favor, raise your hand. The motion passes. Are there any opposed? Okay, the motion passes 4-1. 4 and 1 opposed. And Mr. Austin, you still at the plate.
All right, so the monthly financial report for the month end of May 31st, 2024. If you look in our general fund column to the left, we have collected 94% of the anticipated budget of revenue, 91% of expenditures and encumbrances. And as a reminder, the open purchase orders, what this means is that most government entities, school systems included, that vendors are allowed to issue a purchase order, which is an agreement that they'll provide us with a service or a good prior to us making a payment. We have to account for that payment still. It may be net 10, 15, or 30, 45 in odd cases, but we still have to account that we have something to pay at a later date. The state now requires us to report that as we've been doing this particular fiscal year. The debt service fund, we have fulfilled our debt service obligation for fiscal year 24, and we won't see any other obligations until FY25 December. Special revenue funds is all of our grants that we have, federal grants in particular. And so as we continue to close out those grants, look at amendments, those amounts will change based upon the allocations from the state. Capital project funds, this is more in particular relating to our bond projects that's been ongoing there. So we're 86% into the budget that we allocated for FY24. School nutrition, 96% of the revenue has been collected, and 82% at this time has been expended. We have always seen a surplus in our school nutrition fund, and that trend is continuous and steady. Are there any questions, comments about the month end May 31st, 2024?
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Griffin Stewart? You got some summer school information for us, right?
Good afternoon again. Chair Karstoffen, Vice Chair Rouse, board members, Superintendent Dr. Mac Bullard, all of our stakeholders listening virtually and in person. It brings me great pleasure to share elementary school 2024 summer school overview and updates. But before I can share that information with you, we are a district with a vision and a mission. Our vision is generating excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. Strategic goals that are aligned to this presentation is learning and wellness for all, goal 1, and goal 2, excellence ahead, academics, facilities, and opportunities. Our summer school at JES was led by our summer school director, Dr. Letitia Pope, and she also served as the 23-24 instructional coach at JES, so we definitely want to thank her for guiding the program. We had some amazing staff members who supported the Summer Opportunity Program. It was a small core group of students, so we really were able to give them a powerful summer school. Kindergarten, we had Ms. Mack, and Ms. Tharp served as the paraprofessional. Ms. Pearson served as the teacher for first grade. Ms. Alexander was a paraprofessional. Ms. Willis served as second grade teacher. Ms. Kemp served as a paraprofessional. When you look at third grade, we had our very own Ms. Ware, and Ms. White served as a para. Ms. Allen supported students, and Mr. Odoms was the paraprofessional. And Ms. Evans served as the teacher for fifth grade. Ms. Fayhill served as the paraprofessional. We had some awesome exceptional ed and connections courses for students, but our exceptional ed teachers served students. That was Ms. Stevens, Ms. Austin, and then we have para, Ms. Harris. Now our music and PE was provided by Mr. Wilson, who was the teacher, and then Ms. Bullard served as the paraprofessional. The daily schedule for those students, you can see we had a full day, but we had 1.5 hours of ELA instruction and 1.5 hours of math instruction. Students were able to get personalized instruction, but they also had an opportunity to participate in enrichment activities. Additional activities. On June the 3rd, which is the first day, students took the Standards Mastery Pre-Test and then the Standards Mastery Post-Test, in which students focused on one standard in reading and math this summer. Students were afforded an opportunity to take a field trip to Rigby's Water Park and then an end of the year celebration. Our enrollment was a total of 98 students from kindergarten through fifth grade. Our daily attendance was pretty steady. We had 65 students on the first day. Our highest day of our attendance was 78 on day 2, and our lowest day for attendance was the last day, which was 53 students. We were pretty consistent with keeping our students present. 2 students were dismissed for behavior, 2 students were withdrawn because of transportation, and 2 students were withdrawn because of personal reasons. We definitely had student demographics, our gender. If you look at those pie charts, you will see that the males are represented in orange, and the blue represents our females. So we had a good gender mix of students from kindergarten all the way through fifth grade. So we definitely had all males and females represented. The standards we focused on. So board members, I know you've had this PowerPoint for a couple of days, so I'm gonna only do about 1 or 2 examples. But in kindergarten, we focus on phonemic awareness, phonics, and the conventions of writing and math. We write numerals 0 to 2 and count to 100 by ones. And so kindergarten is already helping those students with the science of reading, because that's the major bill that we are responding to right now, and helping our students in the lower grades to be on track for reading. And if you look at second grade, they ask and answer questions, solve one-step word problems with 2-digit numbers, add 3-digit numbers. When we move to our upper grades, standards taught. In third grade, describe characters and language use, and then we focus on place value to round numbers and to add and subtract. So again, those teachers had an opportunity to focus on one power standard in ELA and math for the summer. So it helped those students from the end of the year, but the goal was also to help those students get ready for this upcoming year. So when we look at the very end at our pre and post data, you'll see that in kindergarten, the blue represents the pre and the red represents the post. And so that gives you an opportunity to see how much students grew in that particular standard. And so as you can see, all of our students made some gains from the pre to the post. And we use the standards mastery out of iReady. Thank you, Ms. Hunt, out of iReady. And then kindergarten, they normally use assessments from GKids because that is the assessment in which they use. So that was for reading. And then our math pre and post, we also used our iReady assessment. So as you can see, even with math, you see that this is where students entered from that one standard, but this is where they left. So our goal is to see progress of all of our students, but also get ready for this school year. When we think about summer school, we also want to educate the whole child. So they were involved in enrichment activities, and one was baking and building math skills. Ms. Randolph is our communities and schools coordinator, so she provided that support to students. And then we had Mr. Peltway from 4-H. So as you can see, we had a lot of options for our students to be enriched, and these activities are so important because students make connections to what they're learning at school to real world. And then last but not least, what did students and teachers have to say? One student said, I really like the science activities we did, especially the drones. Our field trip to Rigby's was so much fun. And then we have a teacher, I like the time given to start summer school and when it ends. It was very much something I would enjoy doing again next year. Ms. Mack, who served in kindergarten. And then lastly, Ms. Evans served as our 5th grade teacher. I really enjoy having a small group of students and being able to work with them one-on-one. And so I definitely want to thank our fabulous teachers at JES and support staff again, and Dr. Pope for making it a pleasure experience for our students this summer. Are there any questions about JES summer program? Okay, so next we have Ms. Hunt. So I just want to publicly thank you, Ms. Hunt. This is her 2nd year serving as the coordinator for summer school for the middle high school. So at this time, we're going to pause so Ms. Hunt can share updates from the middle high school.
Good afternoon, Board Chair Karstoffen, Vice Chair Mr. Rouse, board members, Dr. Bullard, my community, as well as virtual and online and here. So, Twiggs County Middle High School Summer View updates. Let's first start by giving our vision and our mission, generating excellence, one team, one goal, and our mission is to inspire, challenge, and to prepare all students to compete globally. Our strategic goal is goal number 2, excellence ahead, academics, facilities, and opportunities. Our middle school teachers team was for math, we had Ms. Sanders and Ms. Jackson that taught our math, Ms. Valerie Oates and Ms. Faulkner for our English grades. For our electives, we had food and nutrition by Ms. Williams, Ms. Wimberly did our art education, Mr. Ray did physical education, and our exceptional education was done by Ms. Erica Williams. For our high school instructors, we had Ms. Tracy Owens, Mr. Stevens, Ms. Clark, and for our assistant that just served wherever was needed, we had Ms. Darlene Ivory. We were able to do our summer camps this year, and I was super excited about that. So our summer camps consisted of our basketball, which was led by Coach Johnson. Our cheer camp which was led by Ms. Jordan, Carmen Jordan, and we had a volunteer from Mr. Stackhouse that led our band. What did our daily schedule consist of? From the hours of 8:30 to 2:05, there was a lot going on. We mainly focused with our instructional reading and math for the bulk of the day, even though it says from 9 to 12, from 12:45 to 2, if they were able to do back in math that they didn't have enrichment time, those were the times that they did it. For our Edgenuity students, we had them working all summer long with a 15-minute break in the morning and in the afternoon because they had some goals that they had to complete, and you will see what they did in the end. But so we had our Edgenuity students working from the hours of 8:30 to as well with a 30-minute break. Our additional activities, on June 3rd, we had them pre-test. June 13th, we had our post-test. And June 17th, we were able to take a field trip to Pinstripes. Our enrollment total was 87 for the grades 6 through 11. And for our daily attendance, you'll see we started off with 67 students. Our highest number ranged up to about 84. And then at the end, we had students that were transitioning out because they had finished their Ingenuity classes and finished what they needed to do. So we ended up with 28 students, and only one student was dismissed for behavior. Our standards that were taught, because we had 10 days, as Dr. Griffin-Stewart has already explained to you, we honed in on one standard to make sure that they were able to understand what they were doing in the amount of time that we were given. So for 6th and 7th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ELA, they worked on citing textual evidence. And then for 6th, 7th, 8th grade in math, they did fluently divide and multi-digit numbers. And then sometimes with the 8th grade, they worked with the linear equations. For our high school Edgenuity numbers, we had a total of 38 students that were enrolled for Edgenuity that had to take classes. The total number of classes that were able to take was only 2, given the amount of days that we had. So for those 38 students, 6 students that took the 38, out of the 38, 6 students were able to pass both classes. 30 students were able to pass one class, and then there were only 5 students that did not complete their classes. So what does that mean going forward? So as we go forward, our teachers, our administration have already worked on the schedule. So when we get ready to do after school, they will be enrolled into those after school courses to complete those classes or fill out what they need to figure out during the schedule part of it. So that will still be taken care of if they did not complete those courses during the time that we had for summer school. Again, just another breakdown of how our standards went with the 6th, 7th, and 8th with the citing textual evidence. For math, again, we have the dividing and then the constructing algebraic equations and also working with linear equations. So the data, what does the data tell us? I want you to look closely at our 8th grade. Again, we were citing textual evidence with ELA. And that goes into reading the passages that they were given and understanding where the evidences come from. When we get ready to take the milestone, that is a huge piece of it. They have to understand, be able to detail what it is that it's coming from and show us where it's coming from, provide evidence. So as they come in, they didn't do as well. But again, we want to see growth. 8th grade did an amazing job, taught by Ms. Valerie Oates, and they just did what they needed to do. It shows us that in 10 days, although it's a short amount of time, they didn't have time to play. They had time to work. And so given what the data that we see right now, they did exceptionally well in the growth. If you look at the post data for math, they did the same exact thing. So with the smaller numbers that we have, we were able to hone in on it a lot more, given that one particular standard, and they did what they needed to do. So I'm very, very proud of those students. So what do the students and the teacher have to say? One thing that touched our heart a lot, because we do realize that we're doing the whole child. When we get ready to go to different field trips, some students don't get to experience that. So being able to go on this field trip given by Ms. Curtis, thank you again, we were able to take them to Pinstripes. One student never been to Pinstripes, and he had a whole ball because he was so excited about visiting Pinstripes. So he was excited about that. And one of the teachers was concerned about the time given at the beginning, but whenever he looked at it, he thought it was too short. But as it turned out, the short time period made children responsible. It held them accountable for their work and encouraged them to use their time wisely. The time is fine, and even making it a full 3 weeks is fine. But overall, it was a good time frame for the summer program, and that was Mr. Stevens, and he taught our Edgenuity. So on our next slide, we have a couple of visuals for you. So we have our cheer, our basketball, as well as our band. Our students were busy and excited. And then on our last slide, we did have some cooking, and I was excited about that. They were doing tortillas this day. And you also see that we also were able to pull the ingenuity students out for just a moment so that they can see what it was about ROTC. And then we have Ms. Oates sitting there getting the students geared up, citing textual evidence. Are there any questions?
You said it was 10 days?
10 days. 10 amazing days. Ma'am?
This for elementary. So we have parapros as an additional support to make the providing instruction for students as small as possible. So we had a class of 15 or 20. Then the teacher would still guide, but once we moved into small groups, because we did a lot of small group work, then that person would work with 10, and then the teacher would work with the other 10 students. So that was our reasoning why.
You chose the one standard based on the testing.
Right, good question, Ms. Garstaffen. We selected students as well as standards based on what we've seen from our Georgia milestones. And then our lower grades with kindergarten is, you know, those high priority standards of what do students need to be ready for first grade. So that's how we selected those students as well as those standards.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Awesome job.
Well, at this time, that concludes our business agenda, and we're going to move into executive session. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. You're certainly welcome to hang around till we come back. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we adjourn and move to executive session. Can I get a second? Okay, the motion to adjourn and move to the executive session has been made by myself, the chair, and second by Ms. Stokes. Is there any discussion? Okay, the adoption on the motion to move to executive session. The question is on the adoption to move to executive session. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. at this time, can I get a motion to return from executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, the motion to return from executive session has been properly made by Ms. Stokes and second by Mr. Rouse. Is there any discussion? Okay, the question is on the adoption of the motion to return from executive session. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, at this time, can I get a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation on the new hires, 0723 5095, 3351, 0724, and 5098, as well as the resignation of 3452. We also have 2 transfers as recommended by the superintendent, 3418 and 2900. Can I get a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation on the five new hires, the 1 resignation, and the 2 transfers?
I move to approve the superintendent recommendation for the new hires, the resignation, and the 2 transfers.
Okay. Can I get a second? Okay, I'll second. Okay. Okay, the motion has been properly moved by Ms. King and second by Ms. Blackshear to approve the superintendent's recommendations on the new hires, the resignation, and the transfers. Is there any discussion? Okay, the question is on adoption to approve the motion for the motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations for the new hires, the resignation, as well as the transfers. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Mr. Superintendent, is there any other business that we need to discuss?
Mr. Chair, we have successfully exhausted our agenda tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. This meeting is now adjourned.